What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I do talk about on the video, and we're just gonna hop right into it. So today we will be talking about Diddy. So the day has finally came, and Diddy has now been sentenced. So we know Diddy, was originally on trial for a RICO, the Mann Act. Basically, the Mann Act is basically traveling prostitutes across interstate lines. And that was basically his two charges. He basically had two charges of the RICO, two charges of the transportation, the Mann Act transportation prostitutes, because it was one part correlating to Cassie and one part correlating to Daphne Joy, who is, 50 Cent's, based on the picture on the beach with 50 Cent, things of that sort, because during the case, they were trying to conceal her identity, but, that never really works nowadays in the thing. So, obviously, we don't got no videos and things of this because I think federal courts don't allow cameras and things of that sort. So everything we got is through a picture. So the picture, that came out before Diddy was sentenced is Diddy crying. And I mean, it's understandable because, basically your life is in the hands of one person. And you just don't know what's on the end of it. So now we do know what's on the end of it. So now we know that Diddy has, been sentenced to 50 months. Obviously, he gets time served for, they're considering 14 months. I think he's really only been in there about 12 and some change, not even a full 13 yet. But they're crediting him for 14 months. So that's essentially, 36 months. So he has to serve 3 years from today, which is, October 28th. But, Fed time, you do have to do 85%. So, obviously his whole his whole case is, 50 months. So do the math on that. I think he got to serve, 44 months? Something like that. So if he already served 14, he has to serve another 30. And then, he really has 36 remaining, but he has to serve another 30 due to the 85% rule. So another 30 is 2 years and 2.5 years. So Diddy at the earliest could possibly, get out. 2.5 years is early 28, not October 28, so by April 28. So a 6 month difference, not too big of a difference, but 6 month difference. Which, if you're behind those walls, that can, 6 months makes a big difference. But I will say, besides, basically just walking free and things of that sort, but once he was convicted, this is probably the most favorable outcome for Diddy. Obviously, once he got convicted, he knew he was going to, it was a chance. Some people thought he was just going to walk on time served. But obviously, with this whole case, the publicity of the case and things of that sort, they were going to give him some time, I guess, to make an example out of Diddy. But I still think this is probably the most favorable outcome once he got convicted. Because we do know, obviously, like I said, he was acquitted of the RICO, but convicted of the Mann Act twice. And, that can be up to 20 years. So he gets, 20 years for one. So, I mean, that's 40 years if he got convicted of both and they wanted to give him the maximum sentence. So he got, like I said, 50 months, 4 years. So basically 2 years for both, which I thought was very reasonable. I thought maybe he might have walked off on time served because at the end of the day, for what we convicted for him, we only convicted him of prostitutes. But, obviously it's a little deeper with the Mann Act, basically using your money, your influence to transport these prostitutes. Can lead to other problems. This is why it's a whole law. But I thought, if we wanted to be, keep it simple as they just transporting prostitutes, he shouldn't serve fucking 40 years. Like, at the end of the day, obviously, if he got convicted of RICO shit, that would have been a way different sentence. But we just talking about you transporting prostitutes shouldn't be that crazy, in my personal opinion. So I think this is a favorable outcome. I mean, yeah, you don't want to serve any jail time, but serving 3 more years compared to having, 4 years in total because of your time served, but serving about 4 years and some change in total. And then maybe not really some change, really 3 years, some change in total. And then getting out instead of having to sit there for another 20, 40 years when you're already a 50-year-old male. I mean, I guess, obviously I'm not in this position. Obviously I'm not the one during the time, but looking at it like that, I mean, I think it's a lot better than getting all the time in your life. You got to sit in that bit for 3 years, but they probably treating that nigga like a king in there. It's probably not even as bad as a jail experience for the regular nigga because he got so much money and influence. But he gonna have to sit in that bitch. But shit, It's gonna be crazy when Diddy come out. 2028 probably gonna be a funny ass year, and this nigga come out because you know he gonna be on some bullshit. But it's really all I gotta say though. Like, share, subscribe, comment. ID TikTok, bottom video, and we out.